Okay. All right. So can we get to meet Leon Baker? You can tell us a bit about your professional life, a bit of a bit of family life, then your wellness journey, how it started, how it's been going.
Our brother. So first of all, Trudy, I want to say I'm pleased to have this conversation with today. A little bit about me is pretty simple. First and foremost, I'm a child of
Okay.
God, and I'll always park there, and I'll always say that that's who I identify as first, who I identify as. Um, First, Jesus Christ, He's my Lord and Savior. Uh, a little bit about me. I'm a family man. Um, 30 plus years to my high school sweetheart. I have three boys. My wife's name is three boys, Andrew, Christian, and Noah, 31, 25. So it's kind of crazy that my boys are so grown up. Um, I've got a background a bit worked in the, I worked for Walmart for 20 years at an executive level. And currently I serve in our community as the executive director of Harvest House Atlantic. So we sell that are affected by poverty, homelessness, mental. We feed, we clothe, we shelter over almost 200 people a night, feeding 700 meals. And I'm just so privileged to the kind of what I do there. I lead a team of 83 people there. I've led a teams of over 1,000 people in my Walmart career. And here's one thing I've always parked as say, if you want to be a good leader, and I want to be a good husband, I want to be a good dad, I want to be a good friend. As selfish as to take care of myself, and if I want to pour out to other people, then I need to be the best version of me that I can be. And throughout my life, I've gone through, times in my life where I focus on my health and times where I haven't focused on my health. And one thing I can say is this is when I'm focused on my health and my journey there, I'm a much better leader. I'm able to pour out more. I'm able to balance myself more. I'm to, handle my intelligence, my energy that I have got.
Great, great. Spot on. Thanks. Thanks for sharing that insight and the importance that wellness holds at the whole setup, including in your life. So we're very thankful that you've shared that insight. So just jump right into it. When did you start focusing, or at what point did you decide to focus and give yourself some me time, some workout time?
Um, you know, Actually, I had was probably, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago. I remember it now because it was actually my birthday. My birthday is on April the 14th. So this April the 14th, I turned 51 years old. But it
51.
was on
I
my
remember.
birthday, and I remember I was in my office. And when I was in my office, my world started spinning. And Trudy, I haven't even told you this story, so you'll learn new about. But my whole world started spinning, and so here I was in my career path, and I was always the first person to put up my hand. I put up my hand to move, to take on special projects, to take on pilots, to lead initiatives, to try all that new stuff. And I never say, and my plate became fuller and fuller and fuller and fuller. And and what I found was this: that I found I put myself in the situation, but all of these things were stacking up against me. And I stood in my office and my world's at. I honestly thought I had a stroke. And
Wow.
but what happened then all of a sudden, I became very emotionally unintelligent. I blew up at a couple of people, and it was actually scary enough that I remember the conversation I was having with a vendor, and the conversation did not go well on my side. And the vendor looked at me and said, "Are you okay? This is not like you." And I immediately went upstairs, and I had been in the same office as all my market partners and my HR. The regional for HR was upstairs, and I sat down with her and I said, I'm in trouble. I don't know what's going on. Here's what happened, but this is not like me. And she said, you just take your days off. So I took a few days off. I went with a buddy fishing. And what I realized was if I wasn't going to take care of myself, then I was going to end up in a situation like that where I didn't want to be in. So when I started dropping things and allowing things to come off of my plate, it was okay to say no. But then I also start looking inward at my fitness journey. Around four, and I'll fast forward a bit. And as I start taking on other roles and more responsibility and kind of broadening my professional range of my scope of what I was doing, being the store manager now into like taking care of a district over 3 provinces. Then what I looked at, I said, okay, I'm soon turning 50. And that's, I would have been 47 at that point, 48. As now I need to really take care of myself. So I purposed in there and saying, okay, my goal is when I turn 50. For 50, I want to be the best version of me that I can be from a physical aspect. And that's when really I started getting extremely serious. When I look ahead and I see so many people that run through the race of life, their journey is just what's in front of them. And it's all of those um, things that you aspire to be professionally and materialistic and all of that stuff. Well, you know what? The minute Baker becomes not, and he disappears from my job would post it before my obituary, which
Well,
is
that's
which
true.
is which is so true out there, right? Like
It be the truth.
your job posting will go up obituaries. So who am I kidding? Who am I taking care of? And I want to age, and I want to age well. And it's not about getting the retirement. It's about getting to retirement and living through. And I want to be that for my wife, and I want to be that for I really took a deep look inside, and I read a book I read a book called Thrive, and it was all about a professional and what she did. She found herself in a very similar situation. And to her, Thrive was what? It was health, it was well-being, it was balance and all that. And that book, I really took it to heart and said, I need to make that difference. So all kind of stacked together. That's the reason why 3 years ago, I said, I'm going to get serious. And I'm really going to focus in on health. And I'm going to do it.
Awesome. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Honestly, past couple of days I've kind of thinking around how much it feels like the mill folk we just thought to keep pouring. At what point do you tell yourself that maybe it's time to pour to take our time to whatever has been poured out to consolidate on it and just try and start thriving from that point on. So I think it was similar story with me. So thanks for sharing. You've validated some of the thoughts, some of the things that I've been thinking about for a couple of um days now. So that being said, I would put you on the spot a little bit. I know you don't train, you're not a fitness trainer, but when you started, were there goals you set up to achieve at the time? When you
Absolutely.
started to work out? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
what were those goals?
So I gotta say, I firmly believe that if you don't set goals and you don't measure,
Yeah.
it will not get done. I've always been in my career, in my professional life, my personal life, what gets done. And though I had the, even though I had the goal of saying when I turn 50, I want to be the best version of me. What I did is I set micro goals along the way because there's so many analogies that they're saying, well, you can't boil shit, but you can a cup at a time. You can't eat an elephant, eat it a bite. That's how I started my journey. My journey was weight loss, it was muscle gain, it was those types of things. But I had to be small and be very specific. So instead of saying I want to get what I said, I'm going to exercise for 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week. Instead of saying I'm going to go super clean with my diet, what I'm going to maybe this week I'll just cut out soda and not everything. Like I had a manageable through instead of saying I'm going to go from here, from here to here. I just say, what are my steps to get where I need to be? Way I can be successful. I wasn't going to fall off again. So I had to set myself goals. Like even now, I only do it. And like, my goal right now is like, if I can lose that, I'm heading on south April 1st. I'm going to hit the beach in Mexico. So I've got certain goals that I've got for that along the way, and I measure them. So Monday, I'm measuring where I am on the weight scale, body fat percentage. And I'm not so much focused on my end goal as what I'm doing, setting a goal every week. I can lose 1 to 1.5 pounds a week. That's my goal. It is not to lose 30 pounds by the end of my journey. Because if I focus on the 30, it becomes insurmountable.
100%. Thank you. Thank you very much for letting us know that detail. So just don't be in a hurry to little bites of the cherry would take you to your destination. You don't have to try to take everything at once. So that being said, how should beginners set a fitness goal to ensure a long-term success like you have achieved over the years?
Sure.
So I'm
And
starting off.
yeah, and
Yeah, go
it's
ahead.
to me, it's four components. Trudy, it's start small and be specific. That's number one. And I think I just covered that with it. Set it when I get fit. And it's about 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week. And that specific is measurable, it's attainable, it's those things. The other thing is set realistic and attainable goals. And like I said, it's not about losing the 20 pounds, it's about losing that 1 pound. Um, that's how you set it through. So then that way it's something that's smart, it's specific, is and I would say focus on the habits, not just the out. So consistency will beat intensity always. And you could say, I'm going to go to the gym today and I'm going to work my butt off. I'm going to run as hard as I can. I'm going to lift as heavy as I can. I'm going to do all that type of stuff. And you don't show up tomorrow or the day after or the day after, um, you will not see results. So consistency is, if I can get myself in the parking lot of the gym, that's my first goal. If I can get myself into that parking lot when I don't feel like going, if I
Like,
get
correct.
myself in the parking lot, that's where it is. So I focus habits and I consistency, not yet. The other thing is track your progress. And it's beyond the scale. Because some weeks you're up, some weeks you're in more water than others, or you know what, maybe I did have that burger last night. And focused on just this, it's more about that. How do I look in this shirt? How do I feel in these pants? Um, and I'll even buy myself a goal shirt or goal pants and say, put them on. Just, and my wife said to me, where did you get that shirt? It was a t-shirt I had. And so I've had that a while. And that's kind of a funny joke we say, because whenever I buy something new and I don't tell, well, but the truth is I bought that
Well,
three,
guilty.
but I bought that shirt 3 months ago. And when I put it on 3 months ago, I was like, no way I'm wearing that where people can see me, because my belly was full, like, types of things. But now when
Yeah.
it fits me well, and that's a shirt that I've put on every 2 weeks since January. And I said, I'm going to fit in that shirt. I'm going to that shirt by the time April 1st rolls around. So I wore it. I wore it last week for the first time in public.
I would follow up with another question, which is, you've spoken along that line, but what common mistakes would you say you have repeatedly seen people who have decided to start off a wellness journey or start taking good care of themselves?
And I would say when people start their own workout plan, it's a lack of structure. So random workouts don't work. It has to be done and planned as needed. So I'm 5 days a week, and it is I know what I'm hitting on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I know exactly what I'm hitting on all those days, and I've got it planned out, and that hit. And I purposely do 5 days a week because I know I have 2 days of flex. So if something comes up in life, can't make it, or I don't feel it, that stuff happens. What I'm
Yeah, it
able to
does.
do, then I got 2 days of flex. And really, at the end of it, if I don't even those 2 days of flex, I know next week, so I know I'm going to go. And my app measures how many times I go. So for that type of stuff, I'm looking for trends. So that's number two is do not ignore the importance of recovery. Some people think it's just all about go, 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 go. No, it's not. Because if you're going all the time, your body can't handle it. So it's the importance of not just going to the gym, it's and that structure, but it's the water you drink, it's the sleep you have. It's those 2 days off are so important for me. And even in the midst of my week, I have a recovery day built in where I'll go chest, biceps one day. I go heavy on legs and neck. At the age of 50, my nervous system needs a break on one
Yeah.
to recover. right? It's not just about muscular, it's also your nervous system. So I'll take that break on Wednesday and wait. And Wednesday for me, that's my green time, that's my core time, that's my cardio time, that's my stretching time, right? So fill that in, and then I have Tuesdays and Fridays. Where Fridays I end off with a big back day. I need my Saturday. I need my so recovery is it. And don't do too much too soon. Lack of structure, ignoring recovery. Don't do too much too. It is a graduate into it. So it's no different than an infant. An infant has to what? Has to learn to before it can crawl, before it can walk, before it can run. To do the same thing in your fitness journey, you've got to learn to sit first before you move on. It's about
Right.
getting in and focusing on those core compound movements. And it's just to build a base so then you can go ahead. And it's some people also the gym, I'll say this is my step, right? So structure, recovery, do too much too soon. Don't lift too heavy. Get the form down. Because some will go in and man, they are huffing it through. Get your form down. And when you get your form down, that's a part of your progression through. And don't focus on one aspect. So some people will also go in and say, well, I just want to get jacked. And it's not just about that because you need strength, you need cardio, you need ability, and those aspects as well for overall health and well-being. And what you'll notice anybody that might be watching the podcast that is 15 above, you get it. But flexibility and those types of things are so important, and your heart health is so important to your heart, your cardio, your vascular system, all that stuff. As you age, you want to age well. So it's structure, recovery. Don't do too much too soon. Do not neglect form. And
Interesting. Our next question actually just goes back to what you have just shared. So, how can one balance the various workout routines, strength training, cardio, flexibility? I know you had to talk me into adding flexibility into my routine. I didn't used to. I just come do my whole weightlifting, do a little cardio. So, how would you say getting a good understanding of all three of these various wellness routine, how would you say it has impacted your wellness journey so far?
Uh, yeah, here's a key to it. You had to get to know your body, and you got to learn you. Like you're wired different than I am, than us from somebody else, right? So we're all wired very differently. And I've been to the gym with people that are like, I'm going to stretch. And my goodness, when they stretch, I'm like, I'll never be able to stretch like that. Like my son the other day, he's like, I haven't stretched forever. That's Christian. Christian used to do dance, black belt, and taekwondo. And like how he stretched, I was like, man, I am not built like that at all because the guy can fold over and I can't, so that's my wife very flexible in their nature. But it's that as you structure it, you're focusing on, and I would say this, like strength training is 3 times a week. So it's just focus on compound lifts. And what I mean by that is your squats, your deadlifts, your presses, those types of things, like when you're starting out. So strength training 3 to 5 times a week, cardio 2 to 4 times a week. And cardio don't have to be all out, get on a treadmill and go as fast as I can. It's about getting your heart rate to that 60%, that fat burning cardio range. So for me, it's 117 beats a minute. That's what mine is. If I'm hitting 117 beats a minute based on my age, that's where I need to be in order to get my cardio in versus it being an aerobic exercise. So, it's once again about getting to know your body and getting the science behind it. So strength training 3 to 5 times a week, cardio 2 to 4 a week. And with cardio as well, it's important to kind of hit your EPOC, right? Your excessive post-oxygen consumption level. So it's getting your heart rate to that target rate for 20 minutes. And you can get it there for 20 minutes, your body will burn fat for 2 hours after at the same rate that you were exercising. So strength, cardio, flexibility, daily or as needed. That mat, I keep saying to people, and I kind of laugh when I get on the mat at the gym or when I do it at home, it's like, this is hard for me. So for me, that's the hard thing is get on the stretch out. And I'm so tight, lower part, hip flexors, my hamstrings, it's my ankles, it's those things. Daily thing. And if you do it daily, it's become a big deal. So some days I'm there 2 minutes. Some days I'm there 10. And it just varies. Or if I find that I like to go and spend that time and make sure I open up those joints. So then that way I can see their workout. So like, you know it all too well, our green workout. It's it's the circuit training, like they're so important, right? So 20 minutes doing circuit training is as good as an hour on the treadmill, probably even better. And then you're hitting your overall, body. So for me, the mix between strength, cardio, flexibility, all in my routine is that I do strength training 5 days a week. I do cardio at least 2 to 4 days a week, flexibility as needed or every day, and then combination workouts, hit the green, find a circuit, do some hit.
Got it. Thanks. Thank you. So, I mean, we live in a really fast-paced world right now, and I know how being fit, also being on a wellness journey myself, I know how sometimes you get burnt out. You're trying to, I also know you've spoken about the 2 days of flex which you have, but how have you been able to, there's the executive role that you hold, there's the parenting as well. You're a family man, you're a dad, you're a husband, you've got commitments in church, you've got commitments in the community. How have you been able to manage your time? This is really interesting, but how have you been able to put it together so far and still stay consistent?
First, I plan it out, and you have head. And if you're, and I'll say, if my me,
Yeah.
your time, it needs just as important than anybody else trying to book your day. So if someone said, "Hey, I want to meet you at 7," that's my me time. That's already booked. I'm busy. Mm. I do. The other day somebody was trying to get me that for a meeting. My response to them was, "I'm sorry, I spend time with my therapist." And I got to mark the individual, and I said, "That's my gym time." Oh, okay, I get it. So can I book you after my therapy? And they said, no problem. People will respect that, but you just as important as anything else, really important. Um, and then the other thing is, you sometimes I just have to shorten my session. So sometimes my session is not 45 minutes or an hour. Sometimes it's 20, but at least I was there. If I was in, if you're in, it says, wow, that was a quick one. Well, and it's okay to have those. So it's okay to shorten them out. Um, Prioritizing your movements too. So like when you're there and you head down, just hit the ones that matter the most. Hit your compound movements, do those things. And if I can't make it, I've been many times where I've been in a hotel and I'm just gonna no gym. Okay, do push-ups, do squats, do lunges, do the exercises that you can do when there's nothing else around. Even when I go down south, I will find a place on a resort where maybe the gym is no good, but I will do push-ups, I will do core, I will do lunges. I'll get in the pool and do some exercises. I'm in the pool, like those in order to stay, and then just stay active in your daily life. It's if I have an appointment that's a 15-minute walk away, I'll walk. I'm not taking my car. If there's an elevator or an escalator and there's stairs, I'll take the stairs. So it's those small choices every day, those micro choices along the way, that will make a huge difference on. And so you can do things in your day.
Thanks. Thank you for that. So I would also ask, because this has been something I've experienced as well. How have you tracked? I know you've spoken about how you've got a meal plan, you've got like an app that checks your body, you check your body weight. Do you like have apps that do all of this, and how are you able to stay in sync with all those apps? I mean, it sounds like multiple apps you're using.
Really, my the two apps really I use are and they stay together. So I'll always find
Okay, okay.
things
That's
because if
sync.
I got
Okay.
to the other to the other, for
Yeah,
me it
then it
don't
might
work.
just
So
get
so
tiring.
so
Yeah,
so my Fitbit for me, Fitbit works. Other people, Apple Watch or Google
yeah.
Watches, whatever. I'll measures my steps, as my heart rate, my sleep, all of those things that's on it. And then I bought a body scale and I found one that syncs with Fitbit and it's just Renfro. So when I weigh in, it just syncs up and it's one place. So as much as you can, I try not to busy myself. And if I can't streamline it, if I know if it's work for me, it's not going to happen in there. So I try to make things as happy as I can because I'm preaching to people that take busyness out of your life. And if I'm just going to add it by
So it would be much. We want so much. Okay, got that. So through throughout your journey so far, have there been or do you have like underrated workouts that people typically wouldn't do that you have found to be very, very effective? Please
Oh,
do share.
absolutely. Absolutely. Um, and I'll say there's several exercises, and I'll hit it for you. A lot of people will get to the gym and they will focus on, I want to do this movement, I want to hit this peak, I want to hit that V, I want to whatever. But compound movements are so key. And so anybody starting out 6 to 8 weeks movement, it is bench press, it is squat, it is deadlift. It is those key movements for you to get because they will build your overall core, your body strength, and focus in on them. And then getting more into your fitness journey, like there's exercises out there that just works your overall body strength. So if you can't get in and do a full body workout, I dare you to the green and do get up. Okay,
Not
Turk,
sure I've had.
you look them up. A Turkish get up.
I will. I will.
That is a tough, but it will. Um, Trina, you've done these with me before, but farmers carries.
Oh yeah.
Lugging that weight, we're holding it, and we're just going up to green and back to green. Um, I've seen this several times on social media for a little bit, but they're like, what's the purpose of what's the purpose of Bulgarian split squat? People will say, well, it's great for working your quads, your hands, your glutes, and all that stuff. But other people always says, well, it just you lose your will to live and all these things. But a Bulgarian split squat up. So good for balance and injury movement. Um, and then like a glute bridge or a hip thrust, good for lower body strength. Single leg exercises, like I just said, for balance and injury, Bulgarian. And then the other thing is just the endurance and coordination, like jump rope, ladder, kind of ladder movements and stuff like that for agility. There's so many different that people can work into the routine that goes be if it looks hard and somebody's doing it, like a burpee. You don't see too many people doing burpee.
Interestingly, our previous guest talked about burpees and how they have consistently taken him to the next level. He's still doing them up until today. So, two more questions so that I'll just ask them back to back. So, you have spoken about body type and how important it is to understand your body type, but a lot of people will tell you, well, I don't really know about my body type. So please speak about understanding or knowing or what to look out for to understand what your body types or body type falls under. And also speak about how you've spoken so much about, you've shared a lot of insights, let me put it that way. So clearly you did do a couple of research, you did education, you educated yourself along the way, along your journey. So just share about your body type and how how unique it's been and how your journey has been and about how you've worked this part because you've had to try to dig up stuffs and learn along the way. So those two questions.
Sure. So first of all, I'll hit on the education part, and yeah, there's so out there now, and I would say, yeah, you had to be careful with what you see online, and there's so many influencers, and there's so much of that out there, but I think if, you got to find and research some that are just core. That they're solid. You're not following everybody that's out there, and if you do, you'll get caught up in too much. So you have to find kind of what works for you and what resonates with you. But I found myself through my journey and my career, um, as I did a lot of my education before the internet was what it is today. Wasn't TikTok and Reels and all that stuff. Where like we had Google, and so I really found the books that science behind my body, or the science behind my diet. And I got into some really deep things that were hard to read, but it taught me about the different muscle twitch fibers, and it taught me about sting, and it taught me about all of these types of things. So like I really did do a lot of research. And then as I went through as well, I did also have the privilege that my wife, she studied kinesiology in university. So he understood the body very, very well. And still does today, but I had that benefit as well as that through my fitness journey. That was studying. So I leaned a lot on her for kind of my education and moving through. There was a point 11, 12 years ago, I got myself a personal trainer. And so I went around 6 months and I got a personal trainer. And that personal trainer really helped me through kind of some of the things there, like a lot of the hit now, the circuit training that I do, that came a lot from my personal training background or that exposure that I had into that. I learned a lot through those things. So education is important. And I would say everybody go in, but don't get in fitness influencers. Get into the science, get into the why it works into your body, and then what you'll see that stuff come to fruition through a while, through time. And then your body type's so important. I mean, really, there's three major different body types. So there's your ecto, your meso, your dorsal, and you got to figure out which one you are. And I am a larger muscle mass pretty fast. I also gain fast, and where the middle son, he's built different than I am. He's thinner. He's he's got that nice taper to him, that thinner waist. He's got those things. So it's important to know what body type you are, because if you're saying like that, they're not your body type, you're not going to look like them.
I'm not gonna look like
You're not. You got to set the goals that are reasonable and how you're built, and be the best version of you. You're not competing against anybody else but yourself. And if you can become 1% better tomorrow than what you are today, you know that you're moving forward. Don't get caught up in what somebody else looks like. Use it as a motivation.
yeah.
But if they're built different than you,
And
they're a
the moment.
different body type than you, you are not going to have the same results as them. Yours is going to be different. But what you want to do, you compete against the version of yesterday. And you just be better today than what that version was yesterday. And I'll say 1%.
Better. This is, you couldn't have said it any better. So I just thought about it. I know you had spoken about having a meal plan, and we haven't said anything about about diet. So just in just a few seconds, just share what diet you've been on and how it's been as well. I know that you also do a lot of intermittent fast. Also, as a Christian, of course, you fast as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, just
So, so you get fit in the gym, you get slim in the kitchen.
in the
And
kitchen.
that's the best advice I can. You will never out exercise a poor diet. Um, so my, based on my knowing myself, 2,500 calories a day, I can sit around 20-pound mark at 200 and 2,500 calories a day. So I know that if I want to lose weight, I'm going to live in a caloric deficit, but it has to be a caloric deficit. So it has to be, you got to look at your macros as well, right? So how much protein, how many carbs, how much fat is going into your diet. And you've got to learn those things out. And there's an app like several Noom. Noom did was taught you how to eat. That's all it did. So it was little tricks of the trade for me. Since it was just grab a smaller plate, right? So grab a smaller plate, not a big plate. Just looks like it's full with that stuff. If I'm going to eat chocolate, and I'm all for chocolate, consume it all. But when I'm mindful, I eat chocolate, that piece of chocolate will sit in my mouth and not just go straight down. It will sit in my mouth, allow myself to enjoy it, to let it melt, to get the taste, to get the flavor. And then so I'm probably enjoying it for a longer period of time, and I'm enjoying and I'm consuming much less. So it's those types of things that make a difference. And it's looking at like volume over density, like a lot of different things it was the tricks of the trade in that app called that really kind of unfolded the mindfulness of eating. And then I read it was called the Obesity Code. And the Obesity Code brought you through very scientific, hard read, but a great read. It brought you through every single diet that's out there. And really, it all back to at that point was the benefits of fasting. And I will not go on a diet. For me, it's a lifestyle. If I'm going to go on a diet, it will not work. So I need to find out what works for me. So what works for me is meal prep. I can prep my meals. So then that way, once again, remember I talked about planning it out and scheduling it? So it is about that. If I prep it out, it's going to happen. But I know right now, if I don't prep my meals for this week, I'm going to be starving to death one day at work under a lot of pressure. And you know what I'm going to eat? I'm going to eat 2 or 3 chocolate bars, or I'm going to drop into a burger joint and have a burger and fries, which then I know is not getting to my goal. If I measure it out, if I plan it out, like I typical day for me when I'm eating well, and I'll do this fast for you, Trudy, is this. In the morning, as my protein shake, I'll hit my 2 eggs and my carbohydrates after, as soon as I hit work. Then for lunch, it's 6 ounces of chicken, a cup of veggies that's prepped. In the afternoon, I'm probably doing maybe a handful of almonds, like a serving of almonds, not a big handful. Almonds or cashews or something like that. And then I'm doing 8 to 10 ounces of a lean meat for supper, a cup of veggies, a cup of complex carbs, and then before bed, which is 8:30 at night, I'm having some type of protein based meal at that point. So it could be a Greek yogurt. It could be, I've got a Ninja Creamy, so I cream or ice cream up bean shakes. It could be cottage cheese, something like that. So if I do that consistently, guaranteed, I'm losing weight. I'm not hungry. Tons of water, and black tea, not creamers and sugar, not that.
Great, great. Thanks for sharing that. This is a great place to live it, but not without asking a few fireside questions. If you had to pick, I mean, our session is pretty much over, but just an extra avenue for our audience to learn. If you had to pick strength training or cardio, which would it be for you? Easy peasy, easy peasy every day. Great. Lastly, what's your favorite post-workout meal? What would
Eggs,
it be?
eggs.
Eggs. How many? Okay, great. Thank you, Leon, for having joined us. We really enjoyed this very insightful session with you. So usually we give our guests the opportunity to just share probably something they're working on right now or something you've been working on for if I mean I know that you're not writing a book, but our previous guest was an author, so he just put out a new book in the market. But it could be work, it could be anything you're willing to share, it could be the good news. Please just take a moment to share and just let our
Sure.
audience know.
Sure. I work with those people affected by poverty, mental health, and addiction. Um, and what I'm currently working on right now is we're working as a part of a vibrant community group. So as an advisory board, and we're really working on the Moncton area and what we're seeing in homelessness and what we're seeing in mental health. So we're just at the beginning. Our mandate is how do we in 3 years influence the different stakeholders that are, whether it be municipality, provincial, federal government, and then investors, in order to all of us come together to say, how do we address what we're seeing out there? And we're pulling the churches into this as well, right? And how do they come alongside of us? And then everybody else is about, okay, how do we build the housing that we need to build? What types? And then what supports need to be in place in order to build a house and take care of the people that need most. And that is something that we're really kind of just long through. We've had several working groups on it, but I'm proud of that. I'm really looking forward to what that's going to mean to the city today, and then how we see our city.
Great work you're doing, Leon, for the community. We're so appreciative of everything. We love the fact that you are indeed pouring yourself out to build a greater community. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. This has been really insightful. I'm going to bet that the audience will give a lot of feedback about this session. Thank you so much. Thanks for agreeing to do this. Our warmest regards to your family, to your team as well. And kudos, man. Thank you very much. All right.